And we are the Tristana. Scout happy to let that one go. That is also technically, the Tristana can be a flex between JackeyLove and Rookie.
It can be, but it looks like it's being passed over completely. This is one of the beautiful things about series metas. Sometimes you just walk into a draft and things that you've been prioritizing and banning the whole series just completely drop through. Has felt like that both of the teams so far, in regards to that first pick, Jayce, haven't really found the most value out of it. They haven't found a team composition where you can actually sit there and use the Shock Blast, protect your backline, and actually have significant threat after that point. This will be a change, though. Of course, Wayward has been playing a lot of this Renekton the last 2 games and has stabilized that early game in that top side. Of course, there won't be a Sejuani to pair up with the Renekton this time, though. Zika's going to pick that one up and have the strong individual champion, but still yet to be combo with something. That's a combo for a team fight, not in top jungle. Gala gets Ziggs.
Gala opts in for the Ziggs. They could have let it go to the next bans and try and maybe bait out a couple of free bans on the side of top esports, but they decide no, they knew about it in the last game. We don't want to live that one up. So double poke coming out. That's a lot of DPS coming out here from both the Jayce and the Ziggs. So where does top esports draft go from there?
Well, what they need to do is have themselves a bit more... You can't pick double long-range backlines because Ziggs and Jayce will find you anyway. So Rookie gets to pick up the Ahri. Not something he's played in playoffs just yet, but it is his most played throughout the entirety of summer. He's been a big playmaker on this champion, and particularly jumping forwards into the likes of the Renekton and the Jayce. You can combo up well with the rest of your team to kind of be that pick potential, whilst also remaining safe. You can ult out of something like that Ziggs bomb. Second round of bans, you need to get rid of the CC supports. If you are top esports, you need to get rid of that Leona. You're thinking probably about Rakan and Nautilus now. It's just kind of your flavor of which one you want to remove. Anything which can add in a long enough CC chain for the Ziggs ult to land in that central mark is incredibly valuable towards Gala.
Yeah, and I like that LNG are kind of saying, look, we're expecting this Rell to go in the hands of Mark. We're not really expecting Tian to take this one. He can, of course, but just not expecting it. Poppy gets banned away here, so they're trying to say, look, Tarzan, we're not going to give you access to that. Of course, would be so bad to be able to get the Poppy into something like the Ahri and the Rell. Not going to be this time around, though, as LNG think about their next particular one. I wouldn't mind seeing them maybe throw a ban up towards a Rumble just to make sure that Zika has pure priority in that top lane.
That's not a bad shout. So it's going to be the Lee Sin. A little bit worried about the aggressive jungler flex with the Rell going towards that support. Of course, that Rell can be going towards that jungle. We've talked about that a number of times today. So, top esports, what are you going to be leaving to that last pick? So, they lock in that knockdown, which does put that Rell down towards that support role. They're not choosing to counterpick top lane right now and then save that flex until a little bit later to give themselves a couple of options on that red 5 pick. Knockdown, we've seen it banned a couple of times, and it's great, again, at having backline access, reaching in towards those long-range backliners of that Jayce and that Ziggs.
Thing is, though, if you lock in this Alistar, there's a hell of a lot of disengage here. If it was Iwandi in this series, I would have maybe said the Janna, but there's nothing to be there, so Han going to get himself here onto the Alistar. Kind of the first time we've really seen it so far this series, and honestly, the Ivern might not be a terrible pick here for LNG if Tarzan wants to go through it. It's been completely forgotten about so far this series.
It's going to be the trouble instead. Okay, so what this means now is that if you jump into the enemy team as the Rell or the Gnar in this case as well, or the Knockdown, Trundle comes down. Alistar starts punting away people that can return fire. You want to isolate the first diving target from top esports and gun them down with the Ziggs and that Jayce. Top esports, they have themselves, I mean, both of these teams now have a lot more ability to reach the long-range backliners than they did in previous games. In that last game, it did feel like it was just Sivir and Jinx just hitting the front line over and over and seeing which one fell down first. Just so happened that the Sivir was better at doing that in Game 3. This time feels like it's going to be a lot more dynamic, a lot more about finding those engage angles once again, but this time both teams have the guns to bring to bear.
And I think the big thing between, as you mentioned, the Sivir in the last game and Varus for JackeyLove in this one is that when you hear with a clean 3-1, or maybe we'll be going to Silver Scrapes one more time.
On to the Rift we go.
Crowds getting behind their teams. This is where you start to see that sixth man almost. It's kind of like home and away games in football or any kind of like regular, kind of traditional sport. Is the kind of setup of having that momentum with you when the crowd cheers for what you do and when they boo for what the other team does. It can help you out quite a lot.
And of course, in the LPL, we have home arenas, remember. We do have that. A couple of teams do. LNG have a home arena. Of course, in Shenzhen as well. But this one, of course, being played in Tian, so it's not necessarily that home place advantage that you get in that regular season. It's a bit more neutral territory. That being said, I do think that top esports, that last win, really has woken up the crowd in their own side of the crowd as well. They really needed that. I did feel like they were running out of inspiration in those first couple of games. Their macro was feeling a little bit sloppy, giving a lot of stuff up for free, not necessarily understanding how to play around a lot of these objectives. Zika going to walk behind the enemy wave, trying to get as much of a trade as he can as possible. Playing range versus melee, you need to use a couple of those tricks every so often to get some HP in your advantage.
Yeah, you just need to try and trade it all back. Of course, we did see a little thing there of... oh, not going to stop Mark from going in on top of Hong, but we did see 300 games now for Tarzan here in the LPL, having moved over from the LCK from his former team, Griffin. And definitely having a pretty good time of it. I wouldn't say a super successful time. Has yet to really see a championship, or despite us having saying that he's been number 1 or 2 jungler in the league for quite a while. Now we get to see what he can do here on this LNG squad. Now they brought in kind of, a lot more consistency in that bot lane.
I think that's kind of part of the tale of LNG in itself, sadly, where, you look at Tarzan and his history on this roster. Regular seasons have been stellar from this team. They've had great win streaks. They've shown some great, particularly mid-jungle synergy in this year even, right? We've seen Scout Tarzan have some great moments, but they haven't quite capitalized on it. So this would be a big turning point for, I think, Tarzan in his career in the LPL, and this org within the LPL as well. Scout welcomed in from EDG, left his world's winning roster coming into this year. It was a big shift for him in his own right, but both of them would love to find new highs together on a new team.
Got a 2021 Worlds winning mid laner. You've got a 2021 MSI winning AD carry. It does feel like this is the makings of something great, but for now, we are seeing now LNG looking to try and punish Tarzan, and a good placed pillar means this hop could mean nothing. They're going to flash in, get the chomp down. The stun is good. A flash away. Is he able to get away from it? No, he cannot, because they have themselves the Pillar of Filth, and that is first blood to LNG.
Wayward's going to have to teleport back to lane, already missing about 4 or 5 minions for the attempt of that either. So, early pressure towards top lane. This time it's LNG having themselves that Renekton pressure. Tian, not sure if he was spotted walking around there. I assume he was. There are some blue pings coming out, so Scout's hanging towards that top side. Rooker would need to charm flash, but doesn't want to risk that at that point. A little bit long range. Reaction would have been on point, especially with the advanced notice from Scout. Of course, Rookie has had some great games on this Ahri so far, but not going to get quite an easy entry into this game.
This is the thing that we saw now, kind of in favor of LNG, but against top esports, is I love to see Tarzan just looking for it. I think he was not spotted.
No pings. No pings.
Oh, this could be terrible now for Wayward. He's going to lose the hop. You can see Zika just trying to make it so obvious that he's not available. Even a ward going down, Zika kind of saying, oh, I'm taking such a bad trade. No hop for a good few seconds. They're going to wait for 1, 2, here we go. They're going to try and burst them all down. Need a couple more auto attacks, but this is just child's play. Tarzan finally getting an advantage here for Zika in the top side.
Oh, it's a disaster for top esports. It's so easy as well. There's no teleport this time. This is a bit of the Dyrus treatment. You die in lane, you teleport back, you die again. LNG, they've done a great job now in this game of exposing Wayward. At least Tian picks up some farm towards top side. That's important. The Nocturne will be a little bit closer to that level 6. So it's a silver lining, tarnished though it might be.
He saw him!
I think he saw him there.
Yeah.
Mid lane, Scout's getting caught.
Scout's getting caught, and Scout's going to flash away. Will he go down? No, he will not, because there was the frozen domain of the Trundle off there. So Mark making a good roam here. Only loses his Ignite to try and get the flash of the mid laner. But, I mean, Wayward, that is unacceptable, my dude. I mean, you can't be letting that happen.
I really hope the Observer wasn't trolling us there in that replay, because that clearly showed from what we were seeing that Wayward, saw the fact that Tarzan was walking into that brush. Maybe his camera was elsewhere, but that is a big mistake, and it's got huge implications now as well, because it's felt like Wayward has, on the whole, individually had a pretty okay series. He's, even in the first game on the Gnar, he was holding side lanes well. In the 2 Renekton games, he did well enough to hold Zika to account. But now with 2 deaths in the hole, that's going to be a big deficit to try and overcome.
Yeah, just that Renekton getting so far ahead, and the Trundle as well. We haven't seen the Trundle in a long time, but it is something that kind of just fell away from the meta, if you will, just because of the way things work. But Mark now moving in aggressively, trying to see if he can make something work here. But there is a Tian coming off the backside of this one. Mark using that glacial augment to the best of his ability. Gala seeing if he can maybe keep his team there. Flash for flash. They jump in onto the Trundle, who's trying to make this one work for his team. They will get a trade back. So 1-for-1 at the end of it all. It's the Ziggs for the kill. Nocturne picks it up for the side of Top Esports.
Well, that's happening as well. A couple of minions die to tower under Top Esports bot lane. He has himself level 6, taking himself some big heavy trades. Just takes one tower shot for the trade. Wayward. This is the thing. You're trading even towards this bot side. Yes, you get yourself a dragon. That's a slight advantage for Top Esports. But the question is now, with the 2 ganks towards top side, you don't need to send jungle attention towards that now. If that means that everyone is then piling bot lane and leaving top lane in an isolated island, what do Top Esports realistically do? This is the kind of bot lane which, of course, favored LNG earlier in the series, where it was more focused towards bot side and less about just scaling up. Gala getting a kill from this fracas as well, that's really not what Top Esports would have wanted. Yes, you do end up getting a kill back, but it's not JackeyLove getting that gold. Ziggs getting more gold on the board is going to be very important, because this whole combo with Alistair going in, Trundle Pillar, and of course the Renekton stun as well, is going to feed directly into Gala, just completely dunking on the first target with this combo.
Yeah, well, we'll see how they end up kind of bringing this one back. Top Esports down about 1,500 gold already. They did pick up a dragon, so they do have that scaling kind of asset in their back pocket. We will see Paranoia being available as well for the side of Top Esports, see what they can do with it. We are having a fairly heavy presence from the Trundle right now towards that top side, as he looks to try and confirm the Rift Herald. And this is the thing, when you've got all this pressure onto Wayward, who's just straight up behind, like, you know, you can start to put in just a little bit more pressure and get those very aggressive wards.
Additional problem now, we've got Herald spawning, first ults of the game, ready from mid-jungle, particularly from Top Esports. Tian has himself that Paranoia, but you're not going to be able to attack side lanes in the same way that you would like, because this Renekton is 30 CS up, has a kill and an assist. You're not really going to be able to isolate this Renekton in the way that you would have liked to. So that's an option down from Tian. Typically, the way that you deal with a Nocturne is kind of you group up and you make sure you can't find isolated targets. If the isolated target is that strong already, though, you don't even need to do that. LNG already putting Tian into a bit of an awkward spot. If they can continue to do this, Top Esports are again going to be in a position where they need to figure out what they're doing with their macro, because it feels like LNG already, just 8 minutes into the game, giving some worries, particularly with this top lane situation.
Now, we'll say Tarzan is down about 20 CS off to Tian, who's farming exceptionally well in this kind of early stage, building up towards that stride breaker where he's able to make something work for his team. And I mean, you've got the lost chapter now for Gala. He's going to be able to perma hold this wave, be it in bot, mid, top, doesn't matter, because he's just got so much available to him. So it's just hard for Top Esports to get the same kind of lane presence that they had with this Nocturne, or sorry, with this Varus in previous games.
At least some vision control established around the bot side for Top Esports. Currently, LNG have their bot lane kind of trapped alone on the turret, but diving into the Ziggs is one thing. Diving into them with the Alistair is awkward. Wayward. I mean, when you go into Mega Knight, you kind of just use your ult for poke a lot of the time because you get it once per ult cooldown. That's looking for a higher ult. This looks a little bit awkward, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world.
Our observers are such trolls. They love,
yeah,
they love to do it.
They love
to show
to really flame players. And I kind of respect that because, like, there's some attitude to it. But come on, we can be kind sometimes, right?
No, only flame. That's the only. It's the LPL way. It's like in LCK you get a load of like player POVs and. In LEC, you get a load of like cool cinematics. Every observer team's got their style, you know. And in the LPL, it's just straight up flaming players. That's our style. But we are going to see now.
One of the hilarious things in Game 2, we had that with the Baron, where Top Esports could never kill it, and they just zoomed in on the Baron, did like a little camera shake thing. It's like, yes, we're aware that the Baron hasn't died yet.
Just in case you were left wondering, the Baron is still up and available. But we're actually seeing a little bit of a lane swap coming out here from the side of LNG. They kind of want to maybe put in some decent work on these towers in the top lane. Maybe throw the Trundle up with the Rift Herald to get this plate down.
Exactly, because when you have either a Tristana or a Ziggs, particularly in the current meta with a Herald, the ability to completely take down a turret gets really, really scary. You have to respond very quickly. If you're slow to the punch, Herald goes down, Satchel goes down after it, and that's suddenly 4 or 5 plates over to one team in one fell swoop. As it stands, Rookie is at least keeping some trades towards this mid lane going well. Scout has teleport to get back in towards this mid lane though. And it's going to be a battle now of top esports trying to respond as quickly as possible. Big burst under turret. Wow!
Huge burst because he's got the Gore Drinker and the solo bolo Zika putting down his marker and saying, look, you can rotate all you like. I am winning.
Okay, so I guess we're forgetting about that, Harold. It's just solo Renekton power. Couple of ganks go towards that top lane, and Wayward is absolutely blown out. We were worried about this top lane matchup, but it had been covered well enough on the whole in the first couple of games. Suddenly, with that Renekton, things are going from bad to worse.
They may be looking for a little bit of a move in the mid lane. Hung does not take arrow aggro. Flash had been used there by Rookie. Tarzan now moving over. Going to see the paranoia used to try and just make sure this Alistar can be a taxi to get himself out, but I mean, what a play. Wayward, you'll try your best, but I mean, this is a futile effort, and it's going to be an easy reset from Zika. Easily done here from the side of LNG, and they are building a momentum.
I do not envy the first target into the fight from top esports. He not only has to deal with the Trundle ult and the Alistar bopping them up into the heavens, you're going to have Zika doing something like this as well when it comes into late game team fights. Absolutely demolishing Wayward as soon as he goes into Nymeara, tries to defend himself under the turret, gets himself a couple of plates afterwards. He can teleport back onto the map if he so wishes. He's actually going to save that one as well. He is so far ahead of the curve. Huge CS advantage. Kill of participation as well, really putting him ahead. And this is going to be a huge worry for top esports now, because how are you going to deal with this Renekton? You don't get to deal with him with the Nocturne. Again, if you're using an ult on the Renekton, you have effectively lost that trade, and he's going to come into the team fights with so much strength.
5v3, they're going to see a TP coming in, though. That's the Renekton trying to make this one work. Chain of Corruption has already been used, as well as the Magnet Storm. Everyone is backing themselves away. Gala wasn't a part of that. Rookie trying to see if he can do something here with the Spirit Rush. He missed it over the wall. Oh, they almost get on top of him. That charm was so key from Rookie. He almost flubs it, but at the end of it all, it is still going to be LNG taking control around this Dragon Pit. They will get Tarzan just healing up with some Honey Fruit. And Tian doesn't have a paranoia. Flash was burned by Gala, I believe, just to try and make something work there. As Tian trying to see if he can maybe wait a little bit longer. He'll have the paranoia back in a couple of seconds, and they have the Mega Gnar as well.
Okay, what teleport? There are no teleports back in. These are the HP bars that they're working with top esports. I think they somehow figured the way out of this because they've just done more damage to LNG.
Just done more damage. Zika will have Dominus. That's what they're looking for. Mega Gnar is no longer available. Hung has the Hex Flash, tries to go in, gets Charm stolen. Confirmed by LNG. They will trade back their jungler's life as a Paranoia does get Nocturne out. It's a 2-for-1 trade, but the damage and the bomb! Holy moly, that was absurd! It is still going to be a favorable trade here for the side of top esports. The Chain of Corruption has come back, but JackeyLove is still going strong. Zika finds his mark, but my god, it was scrappy.
It's a bloodbath in the bottom river. Both AD carries getting themselves value out of that fight. JackeyLove just about able to take down Scout. The Dragon goes the way of LNG. It's a fairly even fight as far as things go, though. I think LNG fighting back to that situation, though, with the HP bars that they had is incredibly important, though. This is after, you know, big chunks have come out of the majority of LNG. Gala just about gets his ult back for this point. And the hero of this game so far has really been this Renekton. Zika getting just incredible value, not just in the individual plays, but now into the team fights as well. I think top esports are very lucky to get away with just that. I think JackeyLove could have died just as easily in the back end of that fight.
Yeah, I mean, JackeyLove really kind of pulling the full momentum of that play right back to make sure that LNG did not get absolutely everything. However, the Dragon did go over to LNG, and now the Rift Herald as well. So you're just a little bit too late here, Mark and JackeyLove. Yep, they recognize it. Go back to your lane, sirs. There's nothing to see here. This game's starting to get funky. It's starting to get scrappy, but yeah, Zika's huge. Like, Zika is a monster right now.
This is... You don't see this level of top lane difference like that often, especially in a major region.
50 CS!
And I think it's absolutely insane what he's been doing to Wayward at this point. And with Dominus available, Wayward needs to be very careful about how he approaches the wave. Scout is currently alone in the side lane, although Tarzan is there on call as well. Rookie has ult, doesn't have Everfrost just yet. He's building up towards it for extra pick pressure. See how LNG, this is how they're choosing to answer the Nocturne. They know that Renekton is going to be safe given any situation, so they just kind of pile on the other lanes and make sure that jungle support is roaming between them. But LNG looks like, particularly with the 3 kills on Gala's Ziggs as well are in such a good position. Yes, you can see some gold being built up on the other side. Tian currently 3-0-1 on that Nocturne. It's so much easier to use Ziggs' gold than it is for Nocturne. Nocturne's hitting one target when he's diving in, and don't get me wrong, that is important. But when suddenly the Ziggs has so much CC to play around with the Renekton stun, the Alistar, and everything that we've mentioned before, Gala's gold is so much easier to turn into realistic damage in team fights.
Yeah, I mean, like, Gala is just going to be able to keep throwing out bombs, keep, constantly proccing the Leandri's Anguish, and this is just becoming a bigger and bigger problem. You can see Wayward, he's down with the supports right now. 4,500 gold is just not what you've been in. He'll just about, I think, have his Triforce now, but, I mean, this is a rough showing right now for the top esports top laner.
Scout's alone for now. There's a time
He's not alone.
Briefly.
He's not alone, and they're just going to have a lot of support coming back in. So Rookie was trying to make a rotation down, but I mean, I don't know if you can go for this fight. This is the thing. You want to dive as the side of top esports, but with an Alistar and a Trundle, like you mentioned, it's so difficult.
If they turn up like 3 seconds earlier, there's no flash on Scout, no stopwatch. That could have been a very realistic kill. As it stands, Scout's going trying to get some chunks in.
Yeah, well, Hung takes himself a little bit forward there. Wayward. Oh, he got so lucky.
Oh.
Never mind. He's not lucky. He gets himself bopped around and killed. That is just an easy fight. Zika is 1v-nunning right now. PvE. He has just been vibing in this top side, had a teleport and said, you know what? I don't need it. You're going to make this Wayward 0-5.
I think what top esports are experiencing is object permanence. If I can't see the Renekton on my screen, it just doesn't exist. Let's just go somewhere else. They're trying to avoid this Renekton as much as they can. And the pillar forces the ult out as well. Top esports, they tried to make something work towards this bot side, and it has utterly backfired on them. They lose the cross map as well. Another awkward macro moment for top esports, which is putting them into a bad spot.
Yeah, they're looking to try and jump here on top of the Ziggs. They will get him, but look at this damage. Zika is just fearless coming forward right now and just saying, look, you may get one, but we're going to get more. Mark has a flash, does have a crash down as well, has to use it to try and get himself away. 40 seconds till Dragon spawns. Both these AD carries do have teleport.
Even in the overstep, Gala manages to get some value out of it because he knows Zika is on the horizon, and anywhere that Renekton is, you throw all your skills towards his target and they are going to absolutely explode. So, mid lane turret goes down, Herald being put in towards that push. JackeyLove can teleport back into the map, but I don't think they can defend this. I think you're absolutely right. This tower's probably dead to rights.
Yeah, they're going to try and pick it up. There's going to be a double TP coming in. That's both the AD carries, but now you haven't got a place to go for Mark. He's just hobbling away, and Gala picks up that kill immediately. Already, we're seeing more and more coming out from the side of LNG. That just gets them further and further ahead.
And LNG are just so much faster and more decisive to the plays that they're making. It's a whole team effort. You can see when it came to that bot lane dive, they arrive in time to protect Scout. In this mid lane as well, Zika is there in time to turn around the pick onto Gala as well. This is a team diff right now. Top esports, they're getting completely torn apart across the map.
Tian is around. Maybe he wants to go for a little bit of a cheeky trade. Hung was looking for a reset, and a TP comes out as well from the Renekton, just to make sure that there are no shenanigans. And it's going to be confirmed there for the side. Oh, excuse me, LNG. They're now up to 2 dragons. Rookie should be able to pick up this tower, no questions asked. But I mean, this game is... it's just looking so hard for top esports. I mean, Wayward is just so far behind. A full item and a half behind.
I think things can change still. The gold is not completely out of whack. I think when Baron spawns, if top esports manage to pull off a strong enough Nocturne combo, I think that's where things can change for them. Going back into a replay, though, of what happened in this mid lane, you can see why Gala walks up because he knows that Zig's there. He just doesn't get the spacing right. Tian manages to pick him off in a good timing, so it's a good angle by Tian. But the power of this Ziggs, who has 3 kills already, and of course Zika, who is doing just incredible work, is enough to return that round. Even with the overstep from LNG, the gold manages to spare their blushes.
Yeah, and Zika 4-0-4. He is an error right now for the side of top esports. And you see Wayward, normally this wouldn't be a problem. This wouldn't be an issue if he wanted to take away this scuttle, because he'd be able to have, you know, possibly a Black Cleaver or even the makings of it and just kind of be able to kind of push everyone back. Another level would be nice, but it's just something he cannot afford to do right now. He's so far behind. He's, you know, 60 CS or something like that, I think I saw towards the end of it. So, I mean, it's just becoming harder and harder for the side of top esports to even have him in a side lane, which is where he wants to be.
Job's not done yet, though, for LNG. Of course, if they win this, as we've highlighted, it's important for the organization and the players, because this would be a historic record for them in terms of the highest placing in the LPL that they've ever managed to get. 4th was their record beforehand. And but they do need to just kind of finish off this game. As it stands right now, Top Esports, they still have themselves great ability to jump over walls with the Nocturne, with the Ahri, with the Rell, and maybe something like a Varasalt as well to pick people off out of position. LNG, they've typically been pretty good at their carries being in the right place at the right time throughout this series, but there's still time for a mistake. Top Esports, they need to be willing to pounce and find one of these carries out of position.
As I said, the stakes of this game, we basically know, regardless of the BLG JDG result, is that the loser goes up against Weibo in the first round of a last chance qualifier. That's a qualifier to qualify for 4th seed. And then the winner, at minimum, bets themselves, even if they lose their next series against, regardless of who it's JDG or BLG, they will be at minimum 2 shots at Worlds. They will have their 3rd seed match against EDG, and even if they lose that, they will have another match for the 4th place playoff. So this is a huge amount. It's literally the difference between having a second life for Worlds, but here we go. Maybe a catch here onto Rookie. They're going to pop down the Paranoia, turn off the lights. They're going to go in with Wayward, and that's a great Mega Gnar to try and turn this one back. Scout does go down first. Gala not really in a position to try and help out his team as we get Zika with the healing, and he just refuses to go down. They get himself another bomb, and everyone's flashing away. Can they take down the raid boss? JackeyLove thinks so, and JackeyLove can! They flash forward onto Gala, who doesn't have the cooldowns right now to stop Wayward from jumping in on top of him. He needs to try and move away from this one, but a triple kill from JackeyLove keeps Top Esports alive.
And LNG start the play, but they're far too split. You can see that the Zigzalt doesn't come in because the lights are off. Gala doesn't know where to throw it. So Top Esports, they pick up the pieces. It's around the Baron. We said the game wasn't done just yet. And with the Baron being taken down, it is very much all still to play for.
JackeyLove stepping up when his team needed him most. Tian as well, just making sure Rookie doesn't go down. Oh, there's one Baron buff. Oh, Scout looking for a little bit more. Does get slowed by the Everfrost. It's not the worst trade in the world. They will still get 4 Barons out, but you can see that when Scout's allowed to throw damage in, he can be fierce.
Well, he didn't really get to in that last fight. Wayward had actually a very instrumental Mega Gnar. Stopped Scout from getting damage out, took him out of the fight very early, and Tian walks away. Somehow as a Nocturne in a game which they were losing, still not having died. That's quite a rare thing for a Nocturne. You're normally one of the first people on the chopping block when players go awry. But now, Baron buffs up. Armed up for the side of Top Esports. We're getting JackeyLove point of view for what happened in this play. Gets to force out the slice and dice away from the Renekton, so a lot of that mobility is gone. Sees that Jayce is off the table as well, and then suddenly realizing that the threats are really not in a position to hurt him, spaces things out, and manages to come away with a very important fight for his team.
Oh, Wayward, Wayward, we were just singing your praises. Wayward, come on, man. We want to give you praise. Don't be like this. As easy as he gives it, he takes it away.
Big moment, because that is now going to stall out the Baron push, and you can see that the Baron power play is in double digits. It's not even got past 100 gold. Maybe it will do just at the end of it, but Mark now caught out a little bit as well. Doesn't have to blow that flash. LNG, when they get to actually fight on a single front and throw all of their skills in the right direction, Top Esports, they can't really take those kind of fights. You can see the Dragon is now spawned. That would be Soul Point. Zika is spotted going into that brush by one of the wards coming in here. Has Flash, has Dominus. That Flash instrumental for this next fight. That Renekton still has a lot of power if he gets onto the right targets.
We'll have a teleport to come back for Wayward. It's not the worst thing in the world. Here he comes. He will have to build up some Mega Gnar, but it shouldn't take too long to get. And we can see the poke really starting to come in if they can land any of it. So far, nothing's actually landed here from the side of LNG. Yeah, they're kind of swinging and missing right now in the mid lane. Really well done here by Top Esports. They should be able to get themselves this tier 1 in the mid lane. That's incredibly powerful and important considering you're against a Jayce and a Ziggs. That is a massive shock blast to try and stir them back, but I mean, this is still okay for Top Esports. They didn't lose the Soul Point.
I mean, that's a great shock blast, but imagine if the 2 or 3 before that had landed, then Top Esports has some dancing shoes on. It buys them a little bit more time, and the Dragon is still alive. LNG, they were really counting on some of that landing. JackeyLove now fishing for an ult over the wall, but CC lands. Again, the Zigzalt is up and available. Gala looking to throw it blind, gets 3-man. It's not the biggest amount of damage.
It's not. Dragon goes down very slowly right now because you do not have JackeyLove hitting it. He is also a lethality virus, so not going to have the same kind of burst potential. See it now, 4,000 HP. Tarzan is kind of just sitting here, unperturbed. They're going to throw in the Chain of Corruption. He still gets it. That's the whole point now. They're trying to jump in and see if they can deal with everybody else. Mark jumping in with the Magnet Storm, but now he's isolated and alone. Gets taken out first. Zika moving forward. Wayward hops himself out, but with no flash and no real place to leave. You imagine he's going to be going down very, very shortly. Does go into Mini, but only just to try and give himself a little bit more time. Tarzan now moving in. Will have a Pillar of Ice available to him. Tian gets away from Scout, who flashed in on top of him. Despite the Baron going over to top esports, they will get themselves looking down the barrel of a soul at about 30 minutes.
I mean, even with that Baron play, they don't get to use it. They're not allowed to sit in lanes. They do get that mid lane out of turret. That's a win. But straight after that, you can see the problem which top esports have in regards to winning fights which are completely front to back. The Ziggs, the Jayce, they are untouched for a lot of this. See that Tian is really quite afraid to jump in towards that backline, understandably so. You see the damage comes into that first target. Mark gets absolutely obliterated, removed from the fight as soon as that combo comes in. Gala, Zika. It feels like they've really just kind of controlled this team fight with the ability to just shred down the first target from range and up close.
And look, it's very rare that we have to say, you know, it's an actual diff in this particular lane. But I mean, Zika has just had Wayward's number this game. Like, Wayward has, and look, Wayward's still on R. He can still have impact. But I mean, the difference between these two players this game has been monumental. Everyone else is roughly the same. You look at their KDAs, even the AD carries, the mid laners, they're all basically the same. So it's just the top side that's bleeding so heavily.
And it's not for lack of trying from Tian to try and make up some differences there, but the damage was done so early into the game. Zika Tarzan get 2 back-to-back kills, which put Wayward into an absolute hole in this game, which he has to try and climb out of, and he's just been continually forced back down again with individual plays from Zika. And does feel like now, particularly with Flash still available after a big fight, this Renekton is still, again, primed and ready to make top esports next fight very, very difficult. What that next fight will be over, we'll see what that comes around. Vision control has been established in the top side for the upcoming Baron spawn from top esports, but it's just not an easy game for them to try and wrangle over control of the map.
I mean, look at the item difference between Wayward and Zika. I know I'm really harping on about this, but it is such a massive thorn in the side. Yeah, exactly. Like, you have a Hex Drinker, GA, Black Cleaver, and a Gore Drinker versus just a Triforce and some, you know, half items. He will be going back for, he has 400 gold. Maybe that's enough to finish an item. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, yeah, it does get the Hull Breaker finally, but I mean, you're in a side lane that you just can't win right now. It's going to be like another 10 minutes before he's able to do anything.
That was like a 5,000 gold advantage. This Hull Breaker is to survive, not to win through a side lane. Wayward knows exactly what the score is. He just needs to not bleed out any further. He's trying to cauterize the wound. But I mean, the damage has been done. The cut's there. It's been burned over. Top esports, what do they do at this point? Again, it does kind of feel like they need to kind of introduce another kind of direction to one of these fights. They need to see if they can stop LNG from firing all of their skill shots at one side of the fight, try and catch out someone, defend a choke point if at all, if they can at all. Feels like Rookie, again, really struggling to impact this game. He had a pretty okay Azir game, his 2 Jayce games earlier in the series. Kind of struggled, though, and on this Aria, pick which he's found a lot of success on in summer, in fairness. He's just not landing the right kind of combos with his team. It's very difficult to do so against the gold advantage built up, but this Aria is really not having the impact which top esports need from their mid laner.
Only it's 1,500 gold lead, minute 30 till the next dragon spawns, and that's going to be the next point of contention, you would imagine, with the lethality on the Varus as well. You're not going to be taking this Baron exceptionally quickly anytime soon here on the side of top esports. You're not really able to kind of go for that. I also love that Tarzan's going straight for this Warmogs after his Divine Sunderer. Just saying, look, all I got to do is soak up all this poke, back away, regen it, and come back out. That's all I have to do. Level 16 now here for Zika. Finally getting himself up to the 3 points in that ultimate. And look, top esports are throwing so much resources to try and control the vision here on this top side. But, I mean, it's just, you're using all this time and resource, and then you have to reset and lose it anyway.
Importantly as well, good thing to note is Scout has Stopwatch and Edge of Night. So Edge of Night will stop the Paranoia's vision denial coming through if that is popped while that shield's still up. That's important to know. And the Stopwatch allows Scout to play a bit more defensive on the side lanes. You can see that he's not as close to his team in when he was laning up against Wayward there earlier in the game. He kind of needed to be shielded a bit more because Tian did have so much early gold. Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. That Paranoia might be the story of the win or loss around this one. LNG, they arrive to the river first. They have some ability to maybe play around their range between this Ziggs and this Jayce once more.
Yeah. Ziggs also picked up the Rabadon's death cap, so Massive spike in AP
yes,
damage.
Pain.
TP. Yes, Pain. TP, very, very deep, but it's not on vision. Scout has a feeling something is happening around the side. Now he knows, oh, that's unlucky for Rookie. Now he knows they are not going to be able to get that perfect flank going off for themselves. The Dragon has been started. Mid lane is being pushed in by the side of LNG. Here we go. Tarzan just walks in again. Wayward has gone in too early. There goes the Mega Inferno bomb to try and make it work. Hop out from Wayward as he just tried to keep himself alive. Zika vacant very low as they try and jump in now. The Magnet Storm and the Paranoia using in such great synergy. They can't kill off the Alistair. Finally he goes down, but at what cost? Scout goes golden to keep himself alive for the moment, but Rookie can't do much more himself. Zika in a 1v2 has just been keeping everybody away. Finally will get taken down. No, not quite yet. And now you can see that Gala's finishing them all up. They do not have the resistances, and that's Soul over to the side of LNG.
It's Soul, it's 4 kills, and yeah, they do end up losing their mid laner and their support, but that fight is probably what is going to spell doom for top esports in this game. The next time you go for those engages, you're going to have an even more tanky set of members to burn through. Mark, bless his soul, he's trying to get these big engages on the Rell every single team fight, but he's just not quite managing to combo up with the rest of his team. LNG, they're managing to separate out these fights so well, with a Baron going down on top of it. Top esports, they're looking down the barrel of a playoffs exit.
Yep, not only a playoffs exit, but they'll also be having to play 2 best-of-5s. They want to go for it. Paranoia is up. Do they have vision? Does he have the range? They're looking for it. They know they can't let it go down. Here we go. They're going to let the lights go out. He needs to jump in. He will not be able to get it. Mark tried his best. He hex flashed over and then immediately jumped back out. I appreciate an effort coming out here from Top Esports. They knew they needed to try something.
Like anyone who saw the last World Finals with a couple of those Varus arrow steals and objectives held their breath a little bit. Those empowered and fatality arrows. Incredibly close to stealing a lot of those objectives. You can just see the difference between the ground which you can stand on as top esports. JackeyLove can't walk up anywhere close. He's a lethality Varus, but it does feel like he has to back off as soon as the front line walks up. If he is ever close to Zika, like, he just gets completely obliterated. JackeyLove, he doesn't have the easiest time this game. Earlier in the game, he was dealing with a Renekton without flash, without the ability to keep on fighting. Not nearly the same degree of safety in this fight. Gala on the other side, he's completely untouched.
I mean, I think this is why, you know, kind of like almost leaning into it, is why we saw the Renekton being picked by Top Esports, why we saw them first picking the Jayce. When you let these compositions go through, I mean, LNG just looks so comfortable with it. They don't look like they've ever really been in kind of doubt in this particular game. It's nearly 100 CS difference in that top side because Zika's just been able to do so much. And now the mid lane, JackeyLove loses his flash just because he stepped up too far forward.
A lot of damage onto Hung, who does have his ult, chooses not to blow it. Varus ult missed just before this, another desperate attempt.
I mean, Zika can just go forward onto this, forcing the Paranoia out. They will get a little bit of damage here. Rookie trying to see if he can do. Zika is still pushing in strong. Has got the GA, so was feeling fairly fine for that. Rookie goes golden to stop the Mega Inferno Bomb from killing him off. Scout jumps over the wall. They're kind of kiting between the base gates very nicely. There's going to be a TP from Zika as they're still knocking on the door. You can't get back to your base to heal, and these bombs are starting to rain down from the heavens. You need to get JackeyLove back to base. He needs to go back and defend his Nexus.
He's trying to get back to his towers. The rest of top esports do manage to get their heals, but is it enough?
Is it enough indeed? Another turret down and dead. Zig's doing so much to keep him down. Wayward almost has to go back to base immediately after coming back out. No one's gone down just yet from Top Esports, but you're losing everything. I don't know how long you can hold.
It's getting so close, but the range advantage, again, chipping down every single auto on these towers is going to be so much damage. This is a hair's breadth off the player's exit.
You gotta go for it. Chain of Corruption goes wide. There's gonna be the Mega Inferno Bomb right on top of JackeyLove's head, and they're gonna commit everything onto the carries. I am Death, destroyer of worlds and destroyer of Top Esports. They are out. LNG, move forward.
LNG achieved their highest ever LPL finish. At minimum, they will be third. They still are in the running for places even beyond that. They sealed it out in the 3-1. They are by far the better team on the day.